Welcome back to Jameel Cast, where we explore ideas and innovations shaping the future of our world. Join us as we uncover perspectives and insights at the intersection of purpose and progress, featuring voices from across Abdul Latif Jameel's international network of businesses. This is Alex, your AI host. Today we're getting into something right under our feet that I think deserves a lot more attention than it gets: geothermal energy. And to help us work through it, we've got Sophie with us, our AI guest. Sophie, good to have you.
Good to be back again, Alex.
So let's just start with something that actually occurred recently, because I think it sets the scene perfectly. Something pretty significant just happened in Cornwall in the UK. Can you tell us about it?
So, deep below the surface, about 5 kilometers down, an engineering company called Geothermal Engineering Limited just finished drilling the UK's deepest ever onshore well, and they've now switched on the country's very first geothermal power plant. From that, 10,000 homes are getting clean 24/7 power from what is essentially an endlessly renewable source. And it's projected to save thousands of tons of carbon dioxide every single year.
So this isn't a pilot project or a proof of concept. This is real, working infrastructure.
Yes, that's right. And the way it works is genuinely fascinating. The plant taps into heat that's naturally generated deep in the earth from radioactive decay. Water gets sent down one well, filters through natural fissures in rock that's heated to nearly 200 degrees Celsius, and then gets pumped back up to the surface, where it drives a turbine and generates electricity for the grid.
And the timing of all this feels significant too, doesn't it?
It really does. The Earth's climate is more out of balance than it's ever been, trapping enormous amounts of heat. So a low-carbon, baseload power source like this is gaining serious momentum. The company behind the Cornwall plant is already planning 2 more, and the whole sector is, as I like to say, generating a lot of heat in every sense.
Okay, so that's one compelling example. But is it backed up by what's happening more broadly? Is geothermal genuinely about to go mainstream?
The data says yes. The International Energy Agency, or IEA, is reporting a sharp increase in investment. For advanced geothermal technology specifically, we're looking at $2.2 billion worldwide in 2025. That's an 80% year-on-year jump since 2018. And that's just the emerging technologies piece. On top of that, there's $5 billion going into conventional geothermal power projects and $11.5 billion being invested in geothermal district heating. The financial commitment is huge and it's accelerating.
That's a serious amount of capital. Where's the demand coming from?
One big driver is the tech sector. Data centers need vast amounts of reliable round-the-clock power, and geothermal delivers exactly that. But there's another angle that makes it particularly compelling for them. Instead of venting all the excess heat their servers generate into the atmosphere, they could potentially send it back underground through the geothermal infrastructure. So it solves both an energy problem and a waste heat problem at the same time. It's a really elegant circular system.
That circular system is a great concept. But let's zoom out. What does the big picture actually look like? What's the total potential for geothermal on a global scale?
Right now, it's actually quite modest. Geothermal accounts for around 1% of global electricity generation, largely because we've been limited to a handful of shallow access points. But the ceiling is enormous. The IEA anticipates that with continued technological progress, geothermal could satisfy up to 15% of the world's electricity demands by mid-century. That's 800 gigawatts of capacity, enough to cover the current electricity needs of the US and India combined.
Are there countries already demonstrating that kind of potential is real?
Absolutely. Kenya is a great example. Geothermal already provides around 40% of their energy mix. Iceland is even further along. About 30% of their electricity comes from geothermal, and an astonishing 90% of all heating. And now more countries are joining in, driven by private capital and shifting environmental policies. The US is even pushing forward with bipartisan legislation to fund research in this space.
Those examples are impressive, but Kenya and Iceland have naturally ideal geology. For geothermal to really scale globally, it can't just be limited to those hotspots. What are the technological advances that could open this up?
That's really the key question. Historically, we've been confined to the edges of tectonic plates where the heat is easiest to reach. The real shift is using technology to expand geographic reach. And a lot of it comes from an interesting source, the oil and gas industry. Their deep drilling expertise is being transferred into geothermal in a big way. And that's what could make this a truly universal resource.
So, what are the specific technologies? What should people be paying attention to?
The two main ones are enhanced geothermal systems, or EGS, and closed-loop geothermal systems, often called CLGs. They represent the next generation of how we access geothermal energy.
Let's take them one at a time. What is an enhanced geothermal system, and how does it actually function?
Think of EGS as creating a geothermal resource where one doesn't naturally exist. You drill deep into hot, solid, impermeable rock, the kind that wouldn't work for conventional geothermal, and then you artificially create a network of fractures in that rock to increase its permeability. That gives water pathways to circulate, pick up heat, and be brought back to the surface. It's essentially opening up vast areas of the Earth's crust that were previously considered off-limits.
And how do you actually create those fractures? What are the methods?
A few different approaches. There's hydraulic stimulation, injecting high-pressure fluid to crack the rock. There's thermal stimulation, where cold water creates thermal shocks that weaken it. And there's chemical stimulation, using acids to dissolve minerals. Whichever method is used, the result is effectively a man-made subterranean radiator. Water passes through, absorbs enormous heat, and comes back up as steam. Fervo Energy's Project Red in Nevada is a strong real-world example of these techniques being demonstrated effectively.
Great. So EGS works by fracturing rock. You mentioned a second approach, closed-loop systems. How are those different?
CLGs take a different approach entirely. You still drill deep underground, but instead of creating fractures, you install a large sealed loop. A fluid circulates through this closed system and is heated purely by conduction from the surrounding hot rock. It never actually comes into contact with the rock or any underground water reservoirs. That means you don't need to stimulate the geology at all, and the output tends to be very consistent.
No direct contact, just conduction. What are the trade-offs there?
The main one is that conduction is a slower way to transfer heat than direct contact. So the drilling distances have to be considerably longer, sometimes several times longer than an equivalent EGS project, which pushes up the cost. But the potential is still enormous. The Evolup project in Germany is a good example. It's a 350 million euros facility that uses around 320 kilometers of wells to generate 64 megawatts thermal, enough to supply an entire region while saving 44,000 tons of carbon dioxide annually. It's a major proof of concept.
320 kilometers of wells is a striking number, and it highlights just how central drilling is to all of this. How is that technology evolving?
It's where some of the most exciting innovation is happening right now. A standout example is millimeter wave drilling, developed at MIT. Rather than grinding through rock mechanically, it uses microwave energy to vaporize the rock. It's been shown to be several times faster than traditional methods, and that matters because the deeper you go, the more energy you get.
Vaporizing rock. That's a completely different physics problem, not just an engineering one. What's supporting that kind of technology?
The supporting innovations are just as interesting. Researchers are developing durable waveguides to channel the energy, advanced alloys cheaper than titanium to handle superheated liquids, special coatings to protect pipes from corrosion at extreme temperatures, and new sensors designed to detect microcracks in high-pressure rock. The whole ecosystem of technical innovation around drilling is critical for geothermal to fulfill its potential.
All of this is genuinely exciting, but when you're talking about fundamentally altering the ground beneath people's feet, that can't come without risk. What are the major challenges?
The biggest concern is induced seismicity. Subjecting underground areas to stress can, in rare cases, trigger earthquakes. And this isn't just theoretical. A project in Pohang, South Korea was suspended after a 5.4 magnitude earthquake in 2017. Events like that create legitimate public concern and can undermine investor confidence, so risk management is absolutely critical.
A 5.4 magnitude earthquake is not a small thing. That's a serious public concern. Beyond seismic risk, what about the more everyday business challenges, cost and timelines?
Those are real inhibitors too. Geothermal projects take longer to commercialize and carry higher upfront costs than oil and gas, which makes investors cautious. The regulatory path is also a significant hurdle. Projects can take a decade just navigating permitting. And only 30 countries have established geothermal policies compared to over 100 for solar and wind. That policy gap is a genuine drag on momentum.
So the challenges are real. But let's look past those. If the sector can work through them, can geothermal realistically compete with solar and wind?
It's moving in that direction. The key is building investor confidence through clearer returns and more consistent regulation. As projects reach economies of scale, costs are projected to fall significantly. Some forecasts suggest as much as 80% over the next decade. That would bring it much closer to solar and wind on price, making it a genuine competitor.
An 80% cost reduction is a transformative figure. And does the resource itself have the scale to make a meaningful dent in global demand?
The scale is almost hard to get your head around. Geothermal's potential annual generation is roughly 150 times what the entire world currently uses. Even tapping a fraction of that is genuinely transformative. The IEA calculates that if fully exploited, geothermal could eventually produce more energy than onshore and offshore wind combined. This is a resource of near limitless potential, and especially so for emerging markets as the world pushes toward global sustainability.
Sophie, that is a brilliant place to end. Thank you for walking us through all of that, from Cornwall to Kenya to Nevada. It's been a fascinating picture.
Always a pleasure.
You've been listening to Jameel Cast, the official podcast of Abdul Latif Jameel. For more insights and conversations shaping our future, follow us wherever you get your podcasts or visit alj.com to read our Perspectives articles. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, stay curious.